when it comes to a particular front end, these days we have so many options, but each has certain pros and cons. For example, React has a very easy developer-friendly way of writing, in my opinion. But Angular, it's more kind of a big framework which has a certain opinionated way of writing, which is sometimes for a new developers they feel difficult with Angular, but easy with the React. Vue.js is much more streamlined, lightweight, and Next.js again comes with a different opinion, which completely static caching, static rendering, server-side rendering, SSR.
Welcome to Cutting Edge Web Content Development, a podcast by Butter CMS. Today we're joined by Chandan Pasunoori, the Director of Product Engineering at Nvizion Solutions. Welcome, Chandan.
Thanks, Jonathan, having me here, and I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on to talk about the different web frameworks and how you choose it and your ideas on that. Can you start us off by just explaining what drew you to do web development in the first place and what kind of projects you've worked on over your career?
So, my development started very early in my age, like when I have 7 years old. So I started so it's been almost like 20 years now. So I started with the C++ by reading from my magazines because it's 1998, something like that. So started with playing with the games, creating hacks and all with the memory hacks and games and creating the trainers for the games. Way old games like Mario, Dare, those old classic games. So that's how I started liking the coding, and also was a good computer game. I used to play a lot, so used to do a lot of things. So then at some point, in my childhood, things came from neighbors, how to, for them to, create small, desktop applications and, have a small, shopping for their shop or for their, medical shops and all. So that's how I started a, desktop application with the .NET, and then eventually, after this intranet applications and the era is gone, web applications started. So I started with PHP and basic HTML, CSS with the jQuery. Before this client frameworks was thing. So that's how I started, and I even did a lot of freelancing work before I I was schooling and college. So that time, I started with playing around, creating many different sites for, personal sites and for companies, for e-commerce, different things. And so I explored everything because it's just kind of a hobby and, interest, not really meant for, money making. So I just, if they approach me, I just say, okay, we'll do it. And, I used to do it. So that's how I started. So I pretty much worked on many different frameworks in terms of PHP, like e-commerce things, Sitch, WordPress, and in terms of CMS, Go CMS, Hugo, and things like that. And now, after if I have to say, mostly I'm a backend developer. But I have a very good experience with front end creating multiple plugins and everything from Angular, React. So now in our company, we that experience which I built for having different technologies and how that web evolved in terms of different things. That helped me in my present company, which we mainly, we provide services around how you optimize, site, images, videos, and, the HTML optimization, caching, much more. It's not like plain caching. We have, now we're catching the e-commerce sites with, continuously changing the products and their, the offers and all. So that's what I do at Nitrogen, our company. So yeah, that's a start point, doing things.
That's a great story. I mean, I think to be able to find something that you're passionate about as a kid and be able to follow that into a career is a wonderful way to go. So
Yeah.
now, as you're the director of product engineering there, how do you align your product engineering strategies with your business's broader goals?
So our business goal is to, provide a easy service, plugin service for, sites where it's slow because of, because of lot of bloating, it's happening because everybody, wants to put, different type of components, like UI wise, side, right, bottom, everything. But when it comes to, the speed, it requires a certain, skill and, understanding how SEO works, how, bots works, how, the rendering works. And because of now, client-side frameworks and, the server rendering is gone pretty much, it requires a certain understanding of how to load everything speed, which is very difficult, because of going different plugins, different things. So, and not every company have certain, skill set for their, development team to do it, so that they'll always have a better scores and better user experience and growth. So that's where our company helps them. So what it's like, what our product is like, they need to point their site to our Nitrogen, and our at minimal stage, like they don't need to change any of their code. Just point to DNS to our Nitrogen, and Nitrogen does all the optimization related to HTML, CSS, images, videos, and even have WAF and security, and and then we have the other way of having specific security with identifying users, so that we have like zero authentications and all, zero trust. So that makes their site faster, because our we use AI for doing a certain optimizations, and of course we have certain rules based setup for type of the site. So that makes their site faster. In many cases, it was like there is a drastic change in terms of speed and all. For example, certain sites were loading almost 50 seconds, the home page and everything. After we moved, it's just under 300 milliseconds. So we rewrite on the fly, the code which is served from their servers to a dynamic, catching dynamic things, and even server side content will becomes a client side things, and move to the user so that it's fast. So that's how we do. So I started this company for almost 6 years now. So kind of we created some lot of things we created and evolved, and a lot of improvements, and that's all.
That's amazing. I think getting site speeds to be quick has such an effect on so many different things, from my customer's experience to conversion rates for an e-commerce site, even your search engine rankings.
Yes.
So all those, speed is very important. So when you're choosing like a front-end framework for your projects, what's the criteria that you use to choose one framework over another?
So when it comes to a particular front end, these days we have so many options, but each has certain pros and cons. For example, React has a very easy developer-friendly way of writing, in my opinion. But Angular, it has it's more kind of a big framework which has a certain opinionated way of writing, which is sometimes for a new developers into web, and they feel difficult with Angular, but easy with React, because they know that easy. And Vue does even it has even lesser in terms of component and their hierarchy of each nested things and all. Vue.js is much more streamlined, lightweight. And Next.js again comes with a different opinion, which completely static catching, static rendering, server-side rendering, SSR, all of this. So based on the site, based on the website, we choose a certain things. For if the site is more static and long, there, and it's require keep rendering, without having a lot of interactive thing, then we choose kind of a more SSR and static rendering like Next.js and all. But when the interaction is more and SEO is not that serious concern, then we choose React, Angular, and maybe Vue.js. So for that, again, it also has a certain backend CMS like systems, or Strappy, other type of CMS, and the backend. So as we do more into e-commerce, we have certain kind of middleware systems we created for a different environment, because we do mostly development Hybris, Informatica integrations, Trap, and Salesforce. So we have the plugins and middlewares which interacts with the main systems with website through Nitrogen. So we do so this becomes our main API layer for the front end, which connects to different systems, their backend CMS, their Informatica, their product details and everything, and club everything, and catch, and it's like instant. And we do catching in a certain way that sometimes it's like most of the time the product catalogs and everything comes under 2-3 milliseconds, not seconds. It's like 0 millisecond, one digit response, so latencies so that how we do. So yeah, choosing it's not standard for sure, and it has to be based on the site and user for they are looking user spectrum they are looking for.
Yeah, no, I like the way that you explained it, that based on the needs of that site. If it's more dynamic, you have one set of frameworks. If it's something that's more static, you have another set of frameworks that'll work best with that.
Yeah.
What are some of the pitfalls that you run into in implementing a new framework, and how do you overcome those?
So yeah, because of ever-growing changes to the frameworks, the number of issues, number of limitations, these days is too many. And for example, in Next.js, because of we have SSR and static rendering, if just to give a simple one-liner, for Next.js, you cannot have any relative URLs for any backend APIs, because that will never accept, and it will not work, because at the build time it has to fetch that. So relative URLs doesn't work. And if it doesn't work, anything which fails at the build time, or the live environment is won't work. So each and every small details, how you render. So if you're looking at the SSR and the static rendering, you need to make sure that your code runs not just at the runtime JavaScript thing, browser. You need to also look at how it works at the Node.js. Similarly, can it render? How to fetch, build time, how to fetch. If you are using some kind of a CI/CD, whether it is able to fetch from, CI/CD, at that environment, maybe not, because you have internal APIs, external APIs, all of that stuff. And when it comes to, overall framework development, because of multiple plugins, they interact, intercept certain requests, do some, changes to the end output. That's also have a problem. For example, some image plugins will change the output of it. They had a lot of extra things like image SR set and all that stuff. That will change your expectation from what you're done to what is output. And if that is not aligned with an SEO, or maybe aligned with a certain rendering, it's not aligned with the user expectations because of different skills and all. So those are small changes which will affect. And again, a lot of things can be solved, but again, because the developer understanding and experience within certain things, if it is not, he's not experienced, the team, they'll have a cascading effect. They may not improve certain things, and they just leave certain plugins to stay there, with not really useful, but they are causing issues in somewhere which it's hard to find out. And the main issues which I feel are any website we want we develop, they kind of some kind of a monitoring, so that they know that there are real-time user metrics, or otherwise errors, JavaScript errors like Sentry. So they works most of the time. But because they wrap every request to give these metrics and all, sometimes they'll broke certain APIs, but it's very hard to find out the disease problem because of Sentry, not the actual problem. So those are small problems still caused because of lot of modules and plugins. And if we put the development problems aside, the main problem with the many our clients or companies we have is how to improve their SEO scores. That's the main thing. How to make conversions, like how to increase the user experience speed and the customers orders and all. So that's where things are going to be very difficult, and they may want to show a certain way of brand page looks like the render, but doesn't like the bots doesn't like it. Google crawlers doesn't like that, and interactivity, those things. So mainly, those are the few things I feel continuously happens. Everything, and it require a lot of changing.
Yeah, that's something that is constantly changing as both frameworks are updated and as new frameworks come out. How does your team keep up to date with the latest developments in web technologies? Where are your sources for ideas, inspiration, and new developments?
So in like from beginning of this product, we started at least split 6. One thing we always say is it's easy to break, but always I wanna keep updating the frameworks, updating the code, updating the trends, and it's like not just version upgrade, but with a certain goal, like why we are updating and how to improve for speed, for flexibility, user, the productivity, yes, infrastructure wise, cost effectiveness, something. But we need to keep updated. Even we don't step back from changing the entire framework, going from Angular to React to something. If something is improving the product, so you have to do it. It was like so that mindset we put in our team. We enforce that they think seriously about improving. So that way makes intensive for the developers to do the changes, because they don't worry about breaking things, because that's good. They every time they break something, it's like let it go. So we continuously implement change and test it and make sure that we have the difference we are seeing, and then do the same cycle again and again.
Are there certain like websites or conferences you tend to clue into, or you look for what those changes are so your team can keep up to date?
I personally recommend always go with an official documents, documentation, and most of the times I ask them to go through, looking into what type of PRs they are generating, what type of discussions is happening in terms of new. For example, if we talk about the Java, like how JS, GEP is, there are many GEPs like the product specifications, the new discussions, how to do it, what changes. So if they start, reading those, discussions, they'll have a lot of information how authors of a particular language, particular framework, actually think how to improve. Because so many people start, commenting, if you go into those threads, there are so many people start, okay, this is what I want, for this particular reason. And the other people start, okay, yeah, this looks good. Yeah, maybe having this type of things, that conversation becomes a much more productive outcome for, improvement of framework language. And if any developer reads that, they actually connect to the future of that product, how it is evolving, and how, it can improve present scenario of what's in our company product. So that will give a right direction. Okay, the framework is going in that direction, your language is going in that direction, how should we do? So that thinking process helps to, so that even developers thinks in that way. Okay, how should we really do it? What should we do it? How can we improve? So that if we have in that ecosystem, if developers is thinking in that environment, that really helps, and that makes a lot of difference how developers thinks of improving things in the code, your project, your product.
Oh, good advice. So I love that you mentioned documentation as well as, forums and seeing the discussions that are going on there. If you could go back in a time machine, Chandan, and meet yourself at the beginning of your career when you're still doing those freelance projects, what have you learned now that you wish you could tell yourself back then?
So one thing, so maybe English is my primary language. I'm from India, so and so I did a lot of lot of tooling, CLI, apps, puzzles, for fun, and created a lot of fun orchestration systems and frameworks myself for either for company or either for projects, in the past when I was doing the freelancing. But I never really created a certain documentation for them, and so didn't really put it in a GitHub and try to do more things here. So they are in GitHub, and a Bitbucket as a private most of the thing, because I was always kind of a little didn't feel that okay, this is not ready for everybody to use. So I never really exposed them. So that the thought process kind of stayed that way, and never really able to put whatever I did in terms of all the different tools and frameworks. I didn't really expose it. Now, as of now, I kind of because of many things goes on my roles, it's very hard to get the time to have those things as a public thing, open source, contributing to open source. So I felt maybe I should have started very early, because that day, at the time when I started, it's like GitHub and all not existed. They started in last couple years. So by the time GitHub is popular, I was already in my job. So but again, that would have helped writing a lot of technical blogs or content, which would have helped me, and also would have connected with me, connected to a certain people. So that because I always dreamed about working with a certain open source tools like working in a Linux kernel, something like that. But I never really had a real chance to work with that. So I would have gone that direction where I can. Yeah.
GitHub's a great company. We met with their developers actually last year. It was a good opportunity there. So tell us a quick, here's where we're wrapping up, a little bit about Nvizion. Tell us about what your product is, who it can help, and how people could find it online.
So our primary company is Nvizion Solutions, and our product is the Nitrogen. So we call the Nitrogen platform. So we provide, novel solutions for e-commerce to have a better caching speed and optimizations user experience. So we have a lot of sub products, for each and every let's say image optimizations, AI back here, or with an AI, we optimize certain things. We optimize the HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and we also have security. So it's like if somebody is coming with without an experience of how to make a speed, to make a good SEO scores, maybe a good security wise. So they can always look for a Nitrogen, and because most of the things we do is fully automated, and of course we have a team of experts who works specifically for improving the site and all. And if you have a premium subscriptions for that, they can actually so you can completely delegate your improving enhancements to your websites, e-commerce sites, and Nitrogen will take care. And so many so we see that so many customers are coming from Akamai, come from Cloudflare, coming from CloudFront, because because of functionality, because of the difference we show them in terms of how much it can optimized, and we, and our support is like one of the highly user satisfactions from our support. We are very quick. So even if they ask any problems, if they have anything, we interact. Most of the time we interact, like within an hour, and and we have interactions and we solve the problems. So that gives them satisfaction and immediate feedback of what's going on, and solving the problems immediately. So that's also one of the main factors.
Excellent. Chandan, thanks so much for coming on and for telling us a little bit about how to pick out good frameworks and avoid some of the pitfalls, and also for telling us a little bit about Nvizion Solutions and your products there. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Cutting Edge Web Content Development is brought to you by Butter CMS. To find out how you can build better with Butter, stop wasting dev time, and free your marketers from your legacy CMS, visit buttercms.com. Also, make sure to search for Cutting Edge Web Content Development in Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Make sure to click subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. On behalf of the team here at Butter CMS, thank you for listening.